I want to note, in respect to Clause 2 and 4, it is worth, in light of the Attorney-General's comments about changes he may wish to make to the legislative process, it is worth reflecting on the history of why this omission occurred. And I'm advised that the omission of the reference to Section 430, Section 474 in the current Act, in the commencement section of the then Immigration Bill, occurred, and I was quite astounded by this, between versions 22 and 23 of the supplementary order paper. Versions 22 and 23. And in version 22, the commencement section contained the required reference to Section 430. I'm mindful in making these comments who are being extremely specific to the bill, in Part 12 of the bill. Now, I'm told, sir, that in version 23, the references to Sections 430 and 431 were changed to refer to quote-unquote Part 13, unquote. I'm also advised that the Department noted that this was inconsistent with the subsection dealing with information sharing with employers, and I'm also advised that the Department requested that PCO change, quote, Part 13, unquote, to refer to the specific sections being brought into force. And indeed, in making this change, Section 430 was unfortunately omitted. Now, sir, that I know, for those of us, people like myself, sir, who are not lawyers, sounds to be, quite a convoluted process in respect of the drafting, and it was unfortunate that the mistake wasn't identified by the Minister in the drafting process, because I feel sure PCO has a pretty formidable reputation, as do our immigration officials, having worked with them for some years in combing very, very carefully through legislation, especially when you have, as I've said, sir, where the error occurred in versions 22 and 23 of a supplementary order paper. Now, I don't know, I don't have the legislative history of others, but where an SOP has various chapters, or shall we say various copies, we go to or various versions, we go to version 22 and 23. I would have thought that somewhere down the track, the Minister, having read sort of 22 previous versions, may have picked up on this error. I would have thought so. But as Mr. Finlayson, the Honourable Chris Finlayson, has said, again with a great deal of grace and honour as the person who is trying to shepherd this omission through the House, you know, these things do happen, and even though I am a South Islander Minister, I do remember L.V. Martin with some interest, and I do remember his slogan, as you pointed out. But again, I'd be interested if the Minister would take I'd never say that. That would be deeply unkind and offensive. To L.V. Martin, I would be very interested if the Minister would get up and just give us a quick burst, perhaps, on how he would change or recommend changes to the drafting process, because I think, you know, we have to go through the parliamentary stages. We would hate to get through this stage and pass this bill and then come back after Easter in urgency again to perhaps correct another error. So I would ask the Minister in this sort of A3-page bill whether he could just reinforce to the House that we won't be back here in urgency the week after next to correct another error, perhaps a spelling mistake, a date, a clause, a number. I don't know the grade of paper that the bill is printed on, who knows, but we won't be back here again. But I feel confident that the Minister, that we now have a competent Minister in the chair, that he will give us such assurances and we won't be back here to deal with such minutiae again. But I would look forward to invite him if he'd be grateful to elucidate on these points.
Keith Locke.
Fair go.